Hello, and thank you so much for joining me here on So Stood Checks. Today, I'm going to be reviewing Facing the Darkness by Treadwell. Now, this book isn't your typical book. It is published by Moon Books under Body, Mind, and Spirit, and it is a pagan book, but it's not just for pagans. And it's also not a book you read cover to cover. I've had it for several months, and I really enjoyed it. So, to explain what I mean by it's not a typical cover-to-cover book, there is a section at the beginning, even before the acknowledgments. Proof. I'm not just crazy. I am crazy, but not just crazy. How to read this book. When you're in the dark places, it's not easy to undertake involved exercises, deep meditation, or even simple focus. This book is intended to be read in small doses. Find a page that you can read through and absorb. That's enough. Small sections, highlighted in bold, offer ideas to actively distract, come back to yourself, simply cope if you are able. Take these at your own pace, but do try. I've divided the chapters into sections based around the elements, those wild forces that make us what we are, ebb and flow, nourish and destroy. Let these stories distract when needed as a guidebook and companion, engaging your mind and spirit. You're not alone on this path. It doesn't end here. Others are with you. You'll see their stories too, here and there, among the pages. Allow them to accompany you along the way. And it starts off really cute with Facing the Darkness. What people are saying about it. This is a book for the times when you are literally on your knees and the screaming inside your head is so loud that it's either going to come out or tear you apart. And that is Numi Brown, author of Druidry and the Ancestors. Now that's a lot longer, of course. But. So, essentially, this aims to support those going through times of crisis and depression, primarily pagan but accessible to all. The introduction starts off with some really good parts about how fairy tales have told us for years how to deal with our own personal darkness. Find its true name, face it, armed and ready. Even if the odds are 1,000,000 to 1, ultimately, it's about confidence in yourself and being able to stand up to what might be hidden inside, ready to jump out. And that thing knows your own weaknesses, can embody your fears, insidiously reaching straight to the root of your own self and apparently preparing to rip it out. Basically, the Druid writer puts in bold exercises that you can do when you're having a really bad depressive episode. Sorry, had to wait for the dog to calm down. There's a jump. So the book puts in bold things like meditations or ways to focus, an exercise like a journal entry. Write down things on this topic, like moments when you should be truly naked. Look at yourself and write down your deepest, darkest fears, or be literally naked and talk to yourself, why does it bother you to be sky-clad? It also offers meditations on deep breathing exercises, on mindfulness exercises that are worded in a way that doesn't feel like a regular mindfulness exercise. And I find it pretty helpful, and it's something nice to look at. It helps put you in terms of the passion, the heat, the fire of your blood in your veins, the water of the blood in your veins, the solid, we all turn to dust. We are the earth in our bones, in our flesh, the air that we suck into our lungs and that we keep in our blood. All these things encompass the elements, and we keep in ourselves with spirit. And so this book kind of talks to us in that basic way, which I've been through exercises like that before, but to have it in a full book that recommends that you flip through and find a chapter to. Now, have to jump a lot. While the book does encourage you to just find one that works for you in the moment and encourages you to kind of separate your issues into like, how can you help yourself? The book wants you to use this as a tool to help you. Remember, you are not alone. It has testimonies from people who've attempted to commit suicide, who've had, like, depression is emotional pain physicalized. For me, my self-harm is chronic. The release is when you actually feel pain. And it talks about, like, for people like me, self-harm isn't an option. It's almost a necessity. The deeper the depression, the less I feel. I do agree that having a creative outlet is a real survival tool. I've never cut myself with thoughts to kill myself, believe it or not. Depression just makes me incredibly numb. This was written by Ian. And it kind of makes me think, like, my depression, when it gets really, really bad, I'll write on myself. Like, I write on myself all the time. Like, it's not just because I'm depressed. Like, I like to write on myself, but when I'm happy, I write things in, like, runes. I'll write, like, meow and my name and things like that empower me. Meow empowers me. Meow. But when I'm upset, I'll write the mean things people say or that people are propagating as if it is me and it's insulting my character, which is where my true issues come in. And, like, it makes me think about that and finding other creative ways to just ignore them and say, fuck those guys. And it talks about a lot of different ideas in here, like how you're treading water and in drowning, it sounds like you're treading water. And everything's full of all these beautiful little art pieces all over the place that are there to illustrate the different sections. And it talks about ways to seek help, to talk to someone, to find someone you trust, and to speak to them. Get them to be your rock. Get them to be there and take care of you because you don't want to be alone. The book also includes a really beautiful quote at the beginning of every chapter. The first one I turned to was from Lord of the Rings, so it's like, But, yeah, so there's, of course, not all who wander are lost. There's happiness can be found even in the darkest of times if only one remembers to turn on the light. Earth's crammed with heaven, but only he who sees takes off his shoes. And a bunch of other stuff. There's poetry all throughout. And then water does not resist. Water flows. Everything is just in here. And like I said, they have so like there's the regular text. And then there is the bolded text that offers exercises for you to do to help you maintain anxiety, panic, depression, strong emotion. It wants you to express yourself. It wants you to work through it, to have the opportunity to meditate or to do a mindfulness exercise and to find your center and to recenter and reground yourself so that you are happy and you are at a place of balance and just kind of work through your depression and to know that everyone has these cycles where they go into the dark side, where they are eclipsed by the night. One really cute exercise that I personally don't want to do because I couldn't keep up with it. Like, I keep up with my everyday activities, but I'm not going to keep up with the moon cycle and my everyday activities. But it said that even the moon goes through phases. So track every phase and keep track of your moods during every phase. See if the moon, as it affects the tides, as it affects our cycles, as it affects our mood, see how it affects yours so that you can find new ways to cope with what you know is going to happen to you and inside of you when the moon is in a certain phase. And it covers really cute little things like that. However, this book, the problem I have with it is the same one I have with all of Moon books and Pagan Portals, is that they're really short. They border on Fluffy Bunny. This one doesn't because it's about depression. It's a real book. Like, it's an actual, like, it's got substance and it's got, like, it doesn't feel like they like, lightened it up and just threw glitter on it and then said, oh, it's dark. No, this is like a real book. It's not a psychology book, but it's a book to help you with depression and to help you work through it in a way that you can understand in a more spiritual mindset, but also in a way that is easily comprehensible to everyone and easily accessible to everyone. And even if you don't practice, but you want something that has more natural feel to it or something that has a more less clinical approach to mindfulness exercises, to meditation exercises, to just recentering and finding a way to ground yourself in the moment, to work on the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 of a panic attack, but in a way that makes sense and doesn't feel hard. Because sometimes you're like, I can't think of something that fits in that, and then you panic because you can't even do the unpanic an attack. This doesn't do that. This breaks it down so that it gives you simple exercises and really great meditation techniques and little journaling exercises. It doesn't want you to read it cover to cover. It's a really short book. It's only like 100 pages. Okay, after the very last page is 103. And you gotta remember, there's pictures on every page, and you have some pages that are just like a poem. So it's really short, but you don't read it cover to cover. You read it when you need it, or you read it in small doses to appreciate it and to try and follow the advice and the exercises involved. It is short. That's my problem. The problem I have with moon books is that they're always short. I know it probably helps the authors get things out there, and there's probably like editorial things involved with why they can only have short books, why they don't have a 700-page book, which I wouldn't want this as a 700-page book. I wouldn't. Actually, that might be a good thing, because you're not supposed to read it cover to cover, so I could just... But, yeah, so that's my only real issue, is that it's a very small book, very thin. There's not a lot in it, but what is in it is quality. So it's not quantity, it is quality in this case. I will link in the description. They have a YouTube channel of their own, and I'll link where to buy this book. I got mine off Amazon, like always. Cat Treadwell is a druid priest based in Derbyshire, England. She is a professional celebrant and multi-faith worker, trustee of the Druid Network in Ireland. I don't know how to pronounce it. I know what the word is. The Ireland of the Anglican Druid Order. You can also find more information on moonbooks.net. Yeah. It's a really cheap book, too. It's only like $15, but like I said, it's only 103 pages. But if you suffer with anxiety and depression, which a lot of people in the community do, and a lot of people out of the community do, because it's really fucking easy. Plus, we have 2020, and still going through fucking pandemic. We have all the things with politics and the social uprising, everything going on. You're probably going through some things. And even if it's short-term depression or a depressive disorder like I have, or generalized anxiety like I have, or undiagnosed generalized anxiety like you may or may not have, because most people don't like doctors. But this book can help. And I suggest it. I recommend it. Please read. Good book. And that's all. Alright, thank you so much for joining me here on So Stitch Checks. I hope you like this review. Please feel free to subscribe, like, comment. What are some exercises you go through? Have you read this? Are you interested in reading this? Have you found any other books that are in this category of help with depression, but for a spiritual person that doesn't just say smile through it? This says to face it, to understand it, and to regulate yourself in a way that is helpful and actually healthy. So, let me know in the comments below. And I hope you have a wicked evening. Bye, you guys. See you next time on So Stitch Checks.